Oh, there we go. Let's see. Let's do a quick sound check now. I hit the wrong button. Let's do a quick sound check. All right. Sounds good on my end. Let's see if you guys can hear me as well there. Sorry, I hit a wrong button trying to change something with the music. We got some new music going in there. We had to make sure that we didn't have anything licensed, and we don't now. A little way to get pumped up before we get started. Oh, let me see. Not now. That music be jamming. I know, right, Mike? I like it. You know, it's a little. I don't know what you call it. I guess it's called like 2010 rock with something else. I don't know. It's mixed with something else. So it's I don't know. It's an interesting song though. I have no. It's one of those ones. It's like licensed. It's like royalty free. So, but I like it. It's like kind of pumpy. It's only like a minute and a half, so it's not like you could like work out to it or anything. But all right, let's get into this. Let me get rid of this. We got a lot of stuff to share tonight. So, actually, let me click on the first thing here. We've been talking about this one all day. All right, let's see. Let us pull our standard forex factory up. Bam, there we go. All right, so got some movers, we got some shakers, and we got some wah-wah-wahs involved here. First things first, okay? Look at what happened early this morning at about 4:30 in the morning. We got the forecast was supposed to be really, really negative, and retail sales was really, really positive. So look where the pound dollar and look where the pound yen are. Okay, at 111 and 97 respectively. I told you guys before that that was one of the top 3 picks of the week. And again, retail sales delivered lots of movement. Okay, it is what it is. If you guys were able to take advantage of that one, like I said, that was a West Coast trade or something you wanted to set up. But again, that's a big miss. Big miss. I was expecting maybe we'd be at like a 0.1, not a 1.0. That's huge, huge, huge. And then again, you'll see the Philly Fed Index actually came in quite well as well. Forecast was 5, and the actual was coming in at 21. And you'll see the U.S. really didn't move too much. Euro dollar 22 flat. Dollar yen 15, dollar Swiss 23, dollar CAD 24. Although we got some movement out of that one. Aussie dollar was actually up. Again 58. And then Aussie yen 51. But obviously the two biggies are the pound pairs. Okay, and again retail sales driven. Going into tomorrow, let's see what we got over here. Basically, tomorrow morning we have the CAD play. It is Friday morning. Typically, we have joint data with U.S. and Canadian dollar, but tomorrow is mostly just the U.S. CAD retail sales, and again, retail sales has the power in this environment to give us some movement. And again, that's what we got going on at 8:30 tomorrow morning, both core as well as regular. Preliminary U of M consumer sentiment at 10. I'm kind of torn on this one. Like I said, I don't think this one. If there's nothing else going on and the news is bored, they will talk about it and bring it up. But, I don't know. I wouldn't rank it as one of my top 10, and it's even marked here. And then again, you see there's 2 FOMC members speaking. Neither one of them, I would say. I mean, again, look at this. You have one guy speaking at 4:30 on Friday, so there's nothing really to trade at that point. So I'm not sure why he's waiting to go into the weekend. I don't know. Kind of too late to really do anything at that point. All right, so let us dive into the charts, and we will kind of review some things there. Let me see. Let me get rid of that one. There we go. All right. It's the webinar, the thing that just was up there. A friend of mine sent that to me. If you guys don't know, obviously lacrosse is big. I'm very passionate about lacrosse, and a friend of mine, he's like, you should totally go work for the Bayhawks. I was like, what am I going to do for the Bayhawks? Like, I'm much too little to play lacrosse. And much too old. Although I do have a game tomorrow night at 7, so if you guys don't hear from me next week, it's because I died at my lacrosse game tomorrow night. It's the last week before playoffs, so there's a lot on the line, and my neck is still killing me from last weekend. Although I did get invited to go down to do an Ocean City tournament. Kind of crazy. They're like, hey, we need a couple guys. You want to come down and play an emergency tournament? And I was like, yeah, sure. What are the details? He's like, there's one game on Thursday and one game on Friday and 2 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. And all I'm thinking is like, man, I don't know if I could play 4 days in a row. I was like, I'm way too old for that, right? But, we'll see. Yes, it is. Actually, it's 2 birds. 2. It's a green cheek conure and a black cap conure. So they like trading. They definitely like when I do webinars and stream because they can see the chart and things like that. You'll hear them chirping from time to time. If anybody, if you own any of my classes, I try to remove them and put them in another room for it, but you can still hear them in the room. The microphone that I have picks them up pretty well. Even when I changed the direction, they're like, no, we're going to get in on this one. So it's Zeke and Jade. And yeah, they like to be heard. So most everybody's used to them at this point. Um, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't know. My wife had her sister has a bird, and we liked her bird a lot. So we came back. We're like, yeah, we'll get birds. And at first it was kind of like, oh, we'll get budgies. They're cheap. They're a good beginner bird. And then we saw these conures, and we didn't really realize that conures were like little birds with like gigantic bird personalities. And now we got these like these two squawky people. Um, yeah, we should have went with the budgies, but I do like these guys. They are a lot of fun. All right, let's look at dollar yen. I'm sorry, Aussie yen. So, as you can see, again, we talked about being stuck inside of this blue kind of pit of death here, right? And we went all the way to the bottom, all the way back to the top. And again, today, nice little kind of green area. We did have some movement. And if you drop down here on this bottom left-hand chart, you can see in the 4-hour, really kind of only went in one direction today. It was more or less just kind of straight up. Had a little bit of a pullback, right? But really kind of rallied all the way back up. There wasn't many zones to slow this thing down. Where we are right now, though, is we are in an area of sellers, or that we've seen sellers in the past, okay? We block off the candle body. You guys can see that we are up in there, right? But, and I say but, again, this is, one of the strategies we follow is typically based off of trend, right? Well, if we look in the daily, do we really have any type of trend right now? Not really. We're still stuck in this kind of just, this kind of muck area going back and forth. We are on the upper side of the channel, but again, we are sideways upward bias confirmed, meaning we're outside of the anchor to the top side going with trend. But again, the anchor is engulfed. So kind of an issue right there, right? With that being said, we have to have lower expectations, and we don't even have a trend necessarily on the lower time frame. And again, there is this kind of no-bodied candle in the middle and a little bit of a gap over here. So there is a little bit of an opportunity for some type of a retracement. And again, it gapped up and kind of continued away. We're basically going from the 76, which you guys remember we talking about, running into something and bouncing back up to 76, that whole number. That's kind of where we are right now, but we have about 50 pips to drop back down to this area, right? So we're right here. You guys look at the bottom, it's at the 1, right? And we go back, the last one was right here, okay, right where we had this gap. And again, we talked about how it did bounce, but, was it going to stop here? Was it going to stop here? Or would it go all the way up? And it did. It went all the way back up again, and we are kind of in a sell area. Now, we could technically use this as an opportunity to go to the lower time frame. Have to be a little bit cautious about this, though, because, again, going into Friday, we always got to be a little bit careful, right? Markets start to dry up. The volume disappears. Australia and Japan are rocking right now, but they're going to, in a couple hours, they're going to be kicking it out, and they won't be there anymore. So at that point, it's just based off of the U.S. market, to control the yen a bit. And what do we have really news-wise? Not a whole lot. So I'm expecting tomorrow will be more or less a flat day in the overall markets, unless there's some type of news release. Somebody shooting drones or something like that, or missiles, those things are always good for Fridays. I don't know. It's been a while. Russia hasn't invaded anybody lately. They are sending around an app. If you guys don't know, there's that app to make yourself older. I think it's great that everybody does it. Every celebrity in the world, they're like, oh, it's owned by a Russian company, so all your data has gone away. It's like, well, listen, I found it on Facebook. Facebook already has my data, so I'm not sure why anybody's kind of worried about it. It's just crazy talk at this point, but so we're due for something to go, and that could happen tomorrow. But as of right now, in the lower time frame, price is just rallying up. Again, in the last 2 hours, prices really kind of shot back up to this 76.05 area. If you're willing to take this short again, let's see. What I would do is I would limit my entry to this area right here, right? And you're talking about 76.06 up to 76.14, so about 7-8 pips risk. You're not talking about a whole ton there, but could be on the smaller side. And what I would do is I would look for somewhat of a retracement back to the downside. But what I would do is once we end up reaching this area at 76, if you're going to be around for a while, I would drop down to the 5-minute chart and look for a confirmation to the downside. What I would do is look for that red, green, red to the downside once it's left the area. It'll give you a little tiny bit more risk, but it will also give you a confirmation that the trend has turned and started its kind of downward approach. Now, again, we have some basing in here, right? There may be a little bit of a speed bump at the very, very base of this kind of extension up. We may hit a little bit here, although it's kind of tagged that area 3 or 4 times. Maybe a little bit right here, but at that point, you're about 30 pips in a profit already. We can start trailing our stop down. And again, not too concerned about this area, bringing it back down to kind of this round number down here at, let's see, I'll even mark it off for you guys. capturing something around there, right? And I'll go ahead and put this green so we can kind of track it in the next week. Bam, there we go. Something along those lines. And again, you guys can see it already kind of pulling back and retracing, almost like Red Dawn. Yeah, right? Yeah. The world is going to... You guys can't see it on the Twitch side, but yeah. On YouTube, like I said, it's almost like Red Dawn. It's like, yeah, we all have that app and everybody's old now. And now Russia is going to, we're going to take down the net. Skynet is going to go live because we all downloaded an app that made ourselves older. All right, let's drop down to, I guess we'll call this the cousin, because if the little sister is Aussie dollar, we're going to have to call this the cousin. So, all right, you guys will see we were kind of deep in this kind of zone, right? This buying zone. And we did have a pop. It went very, very deep. It actually gapped up and then basically went sideways. So it's a little bit deceiving. If you look on the daily, it does look like it's a nice little green candle. Although, again, you guys remember this exercise? Is it bullish, bearish, or neutral? What would you consider this one? This run right here, right? I'll mark it off for you guys. I'll let you guys answer on both sides. Okay, is this one bullish, bearish, or neutral? Color area transparent. Bam. What is this one? Type it in the chat when you guys get it. Bullish, bearish, or neutral. Okay. But again, you can see that price popped up, and this blue area here. Okay, this is where we had previous buying, and we said we'll see if this kind of comes through, and it did. It burst all the way through, popped up, and then literally this is where it gapped to, and this is where it right now. Okay, 104.25, and it gapped to 104.24. So it basically kind of just all day kind of just went back, kind of saw bladed, right? Again, here's the saw blade. There's the kind of the jump, and then we went across. Okay. Twitch is not typing tonight. They are not into typing. It looks like Mike is saying bearish. Mike, this one would actually be considered more neutral, if anything else. And here's why. So typically, if you divide a candle into three pieces, it's not so much important. It's not so much about where it what color it is. It's about where it closed. Okay. And if you've had the 50% mark right about here, you're saying about the 30% is above there. It closed in kind of the upper quadrant. So, it's in the middle 30, but it's on the upper side. So you'd say it's kind of neutral with maybe a bullish tendency is what you would consider that one. And a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh, it's definitely bullish, because it's green. Well, it closed kind of down here, so you need to be a little bit cautious of those things. And again, it showed us that it's on the neutral side because look what it did on the 4 hour. It just kind of whipsawed back and forth, and this was only about a 10 pip zone it went back and forth between. Again, bounced off a little 30-minute zone right here on the top side, right? Pulled back up and tagged this piece, but that's about it. Okay. Just really not a lot of excitement since last night in this pair. And I have a feeling going into tomorrow, it's probably going to be the same situation. Okay. Not really interested in trading too much in this one. Going down to this guy. So this one did have the big, it had the big jump today, right? You guys can see this. Not only did we gap up, but man, we just took off. Okay. Now, this one, again, we had that bounce back down. It made it almost back down to this zone here. Had you created another zone, let me get rid of that. And again, there was that zone. And again, it failed finally. Okay, it came back up. It retested the zone and then took off higher. Okay, if we moved this to here, because again, that is where the pullback existed. You can see that we tag right at the top of it. And that was kind of the, off to the races. Now, wasn't the hugest fan of this piece in here. I don't like the way this candle was formed. There were some questions about it earlier today. Just kind of sideways when you have this type of a gap. It did take a little while to push through. And again, that is this selling zone. The leftover sellers in this area, it was going bing, 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 and it was literally bouncing back and forth before it could finally punch its way out the top. And you guys can see that over here as well. How it went up and down, up and down, up and down, up finally, and caught some buyers here. And that's when we exploded out of the area to the top side. So great trade. It did push us higher. Again, we were, worried about sells in this area. It was starting to pull away from that area. It went back down to an area we had previous buyers where we had a really nice explosion. The ATR on this area or in this chart is only 17, and again, that's augmented by this one. But you guys can see before that 17, that one pop was about 26, so about 1.5 times the ATR. And again, a lot of that is due to this large candle right here. So again, nice large pounce showing us that there is definitely buyers sitting down in this area. So you got to keep this area live. Okay, and that area is 69, basically what, 70? Yeah, it's right at the 70. Look at 70 to 69.84, that 15 pip zone as a potential area to the bottom side, whether it be a target or something else. Now, we are in the situation now where we are turning to flip to kind of come back to the downside. All right. Um, we've had a bit of a retracement and a bit, kind of pop back up again. What makes this one interesting is this candle drove all the way through the zone and ate up all the orders. And we breached right above the top side before it started to kind of retrace. Typically, you don't see a retrace this fast. Okay. And again, I like to see, what it's doing is it's kind of putting a level of kind of buyers down here. So for me, any first target's going to be down here at 70.40. I'm about 30 pips from where we are right now to the downside. But I need to see some type of confirmation. Seeing this red and this green come up, I just don't have confirmation yet. I don't have my red, green, red because of that green candle. Okay. As well as I don't like to do it after a big kind of spike down. That's kind of asking for a bit of a trap. So just be cautious with that. All right. I'm waiting for it to run into something, but like I said, I need some type of a confirmation over here to be able to get into this one using these 3 time frames. All right. Let me see. Is there any Aussie news overnight? See something here. I'll pull this guy over. Oh, you guys see this? Up in May, soon retreat. Let's go across. What I was trying to go to was this one. No, not really. I was trying to see if there was anything sneaky coming in tonight, but there's not really for either of those 2 pairs. Yeah, so it looks like Aussie is kind of done for the night. All right. So yeah, so I'm going to see some type of confirmation. We breached the top. Had we not breached the top, I'd be more willing to take, some type of a short in this area. But because the area is gone and there's nothing really clear until we start getting up into this 7150 area, I'm not really too interested in it right now. Let me see what we got back here. Where did I say we are? Let me put this horizontal line out for you guys. Horizontal line there. Yeah, so here's a little hidden area. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll put this here. And I will mark this as gray. All right, so there's a bit of a hidden zone. Okay. We'll come back over. So potential area right here, and we're going 91 to 71.03. So about a 10 pip risk here as well would be a potential area that I'm looking to, whoops, let's fix that. All that fixed, but there we go. All right, so if we're able to get up to that bit of a gray area, I will be looking to take somewhat of a short. For those of you that are good with setting alerts, again, set yourself an alert over here at, I set it at 70.86, a little bit before that area. Okay, set yourself an alert to tell you when we're approaching the area. If you don't want to do just a set and forget. Okay. All right, that's what we got there. Let's go to CAD dollar. Ernest is quiet over there. All right, there we go. All right, so CAD actually hit our trigger. Okay, it did break through. It did pull back up again, right? It came down. It tagged this. It went lower. It ran into that lower wick, and we're kind of in a pullback stage right now. So we do have a downtrend setup, and it's looking for orders. Okay. Oops, I wasn't looking at that one. I'm trying to get rid of this guy. I'm actually surprised we broke that low and didn't tag this bottom section. It's kind of interesting. And we had that at 82.40, which would have been right about in this area. It's kind of interesting setup how that one kind of turned out. On the 4 hour, you guys can see this kind of bit here is more or less this. It's not the cleanest zone. There is a little bit of an area right in here. Okay. Right about where we are right now. This one doesn't have a whole lot of catalyst going for it right now. We're going to see what it does now if we can get some type of a flip. Unfortunately, we're only talking about 20 pips to the downside. There's really not a lot of potential there, especially because now we know there are sellers kind of hidden down in this 82.25 to 82. area, especially when we know this, we definitely have some over at the 82. We can see the bounce that it took over here. So whenever you see something kind of stop about 3/4 of the way through the zone, it always kind of, gives you a bit of caution because it turned and there's no accompanying kind of why did that do that. There's probably something, let's see, most likely there's something on the 30-minute. We'll see what it ran into. Yeah, it looks like it ran into this. Okay. That's what it ran into. Okay. Not the highest quality zone, but even on the small time frame, it was able to kind of turn it around and bounce. It just shows that it wasn't really a move full of a lot of conviction. What are you going to do? Those things happen. But again, we do have a downtrend set up in 2. I would be a bit cautious. The best zone that we have sitting in front of us, there's one right here, and there's one right above it as well. You have kind of this little level of basing, and that's pretty nice. The way that this popped out, actually, I like it better than the way that this one popped. This one kind of had this kind of down, retrace, kind of a little stick up. And again, this would be easier to see on the 5-minute, but this is a pretty easy kind of drop in there, base, and then kind of an explosion out, and it's kind of respected this area 2 or 3 times. And that's 82.66 to 82.73. So not even 10 pip risk on that one to the downside, and take that back down to the 82.20 area. So again, it's about a 50 pip run to the downside. Risking 8 for 50. That's a good risk to return ratio. Okay, taking notes. All right, go down to Euro Aussie. All right, finish loading. There we go. All right, so okay. Whew. Let's see. We are at 1, and there's the one right there. Okay. So remember we talked about the Harry Potter move, right? We broke the level, we came back up and retested the level, and then the sucker just launched its way down, right? It has now moved about, what are we talking here? 117 pips, okay? So we got about 117 pip move off this one from last night. And again, this is one of those pairs that I told you guys definitely can move. Its ATR is 83, but again, that's kind of deflated at the moment. It's a bit higher than that. And again, you can see it on the daily too. We bounced off the area was breached. And again, I'll extend this out if you guys want to see it. It's right to there. We breached the zone. We retested it last night, and then it came back down and went lower. And it's moving down towards this 185.61 area. And again, it's just chugging down. It's just grinding down. Again, this is Aussie strength. Okay. But again, this is the Harry Potter trade, right? We break the zone, we come up and retest it. It did it here as well as it did it here. This is a momentum breakout trade. Okay. We're in the middle of the trade, so not too much we can do from this one. Price is continuing down. It's getting to an area where it's starting to see a little bit of resistance right about here. Again, there's that pullback that kind of turned this around. So there is a small area, but I don't think we'll have too much of a problem getting down in this 158.58 area, which was the original target of this trade. Again, gotta love that Harry Potter kind of zigzag effect, and that's what we had. Took a little bit longer here. It broke all the way through before going up, and then again, whenever you have anything, a very, very sharp entry into kind of a gap to the downside, those are pretty interesting trades. Okay, so again, that was a nice little kind of run to the down here. All right, let's look at Euro Pound. Bum, bum, bum. What do we talk about, right? Said we were bearish. Okay, we said that we had rallied back up. Actually, last night when we were here, this was actually still green, I think. And we talked about we were starting to get lower highs and things, and yeah, that's what we got, right? Here is the 1 o'clock candle, and we go back. 1 o'clock was right here. Okay, we had pulled back up. I said that we were sitting in this kind of sawtooth area, right? The descending wicks in here. Okay, if price got up to the 90.50, we were going long, but again, it didn't. It stopped, and that's where things started to get bad, and it pulled all the way back down again. Now, this is what I would consider an actual break of the zone, not where we kind of go across in somewhat of a green candle. I mean, this thing was in the middle of kind of the two trends that we had drawn and kind of pierced the bottom, right? It pushed its way out of the bottom to the downside with, again, with some authority, right? I mean, it went down. We ended up actually coming all the way down to here where we were kind of at what? -11. Now we're at -7. So we broke a lot of levels to the downside on this one. Okay. And there's a couple different entries that you could have got in on this one. Yeah, look for little fast, sharp movements. I mean, this is 30 minutes, so when I say little fast, it's not really little fast, but I mean, you had this, right? Pull back, and that was the catapult to the downside. Um, really, since that time, that's been the only place to really get in. Um, up from this top section here, when we had that kind of first kind of retrace, if you were using that as your breakout level, if we're looking for a red, green, red, your entry is about here. It's about the same as where that is, right? And you really didn't take much heat. Okay, if you would have gotten in this level here, okay, there was your confirmation finally. Okay, that we were going short, and again, it's in this level of basing, so you may have been a bit hesitant to it. And at worst case in this trade, you took 5 pips worth of heat. Okay, and at this point, again, we already know the outcome of this one. This guy is a mover today. It is down 60. Okay, so 5 for 60, still good. Good risk to reward ratio trade on this one. But again, pulled all the way back down into this level of basing. Okay, and again, we talked about how it's a pretty fast ascent, came back down. And again, last night we talked about this retrace, and if it would grab more orders here, it went a little higher, went to this area and collapsed. Okay, so where we are right now, I think we are due for a bit of a retrace to give us that kind of green candle, setting us up for a candle next week to the downside. Like I said, we need 3 colors. We have not broken a level in this. We have broken the bottom side of the trend. Definitely have broken over, let's see, there's one here, one here. We're going for a third one to the downside. We'll see if this bottom level can hold at 89.62. We got about 15, 20 pips before we can get down to that area. But again, I think we're due for a little bit of a retrace, grab some more orders somewhere in here, and see if we can drive through. I'd like it if this candle ended up slightly green, but not with inside of the trends again. I would like that a lot, so we can go into the weekend. Now, the alternative is if we do continue to kind of just do this and grind a bit down again, we'll see how the weekend opens up. This may be setting up for a weekend gap play, okay? Because we got a pretty consistent trend on both the intermediate and the lower time frame. If we get that gap, we can look for the retrace, and that gives us our entry to head to the downside. All right, so some cool little options there, right? Let's go to Euro Yen. All right. All right. I was looking at something on Twitch real quick. Hold on one sec. Oh no, I think it's fine. All right, so again, this is kind of basing at the bottom. We talked about how there wasn't a lot of explosion. Again, Harry Potter situation, had a basing level, came up, touched. This was the original break, okay? Formed a single wick against the wall, came down, and that was our kind of retrace back to the downside. Again, got a little bit wicky in here, though. Got a little bit scary, kind of was whipsawing back and forth, so it may not have been the best trade for everybody. Rather small day as well, and you guys can see it's kind of slowing down and flattening. Okay, our trigger for this one to look out the bottom side was 120.73. We're not quite there yet. It still had a bit more room to run to the downside, and we were unable to do it. We kind of retraced a bit, and that's what gave us this little kind of whipsaw effect. So you have a downtrend set up here because we have a green candle. You have a downtrend, basically an anchor break to the top side here, and again, it was basically just going sideways. And here you can see we're kind of stuck in between really about a 20 pip zone. Again, very, very flat, a little bit of a grind down, very, very flat, okay? So nothing really exciting. This one is kind of just It's kind of running out of steam real quick here, and we'll see what tomorrow can provide. Like I said, this pair for me is always a hit or miss. It's whether giving you nice kind of trends back and forth, but now it's starting to slow down, and I wanted to see how it reacted off the bottom side. Little pop, but I wouldn't say anything too exciting, okay? Euro dollar. All right, so Euro dollar gave us a nice little pop today. And when I say nice little pop, you guys can see this bit of retracement. And here was our gray area, right? Here's us at 1, and here's us at 1 last night. Okay, we turned, again, wick behind a wall. We talked about this, that wick behind the walls are not as kind of fancy. But again, that's what it turned off of. Very, very fast drop down, right? Very, very fast racetrack, obviously. The ATR in this bracket or in this time frame is 20 pips, and again, that's because we had this gigantic candle. But again, this is 35, so it's already 1.5 times, right? Again, that's with this gigantic candle. It would be more than that. So whenever you see that type of spike down, you're waiting for a retrace, and that's exactly what we got. It retraced right into the bottom of this buying zone, right? The trigger for us, this green arrow, this target, right? Well, we talked about first the push up, and then the target would be down, and that'd be 112.09. And we said it would hit 112. It hit 112.04, got close. Here is the buying area. It turned, it kind of based around, dropped, and then just launched itself up. And where did it stop itself? Right up here at the 4-hour zone. Okay, and we talked about that. We mentioned there's one zone here, but this is really the one that, between the two, this is one trigger. This would be the other kind of really, really rock solid, because these candles did not go as high. It literally hit and dropped back down again. You guys can see in this candle, kind of went up, stopped, and was just slow, and then boom, just kind of fell off the cliff. And the cliff in this one, and Ernest, I believe you were in this one, right? It was about a 40 pip cliff that you dropped down. Okay. Now it's pulled back up and it's kind of in that weird kind of 50% thing, right? I hate when they do that. They're like bink, and then they pull back and they're like, what are you doing right in the middle? Why did you stop right there? And what's going on? Okay. So it did not retrace all the way back down. That may have caught some people for the retracement, but again, 40 pips and your risk on this one, even if you base off the 4-hour, like I said, this 4-hour chart has just been amazing lately. Okay, you had about 10 pip risk, so it was a 4-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade to the downside. Okay, not bad considering it only took a couple hours, and once it started to move, it just rocketed to the downside. All right. Where we are now, again, we're halfway in the middle of this candle. We're kind of just up. We pulled back about 50%, and we're just kind of basing right here. Kind of a funky position, right? I mean, we are on the upper side of, again, we have these kind of this sawtooth to the downside, right? Again, I love the sawtooth aspect of this. Whenever you have a drop in kind of any type of descending candles and then another pop out of it, very big fan of that. On the 4-hour, I like this one the most. Again, this was the first nice one down. It went right back to the perfect target. It took off. It gave us another entry and went up. This is we have been through the top side now 3 times, so we're gonna have to start getting worried about this top level getting breached at this point. Okay. Don't know that I have a direction on this one, just because, again, we are basing right in the middle. It did have a failure to go higher. It is giving you kind of the descending candles at this point, so it does appear that it wants to kind of track back down again, and it may go back down to this 120, again, about 40 pips to the downside, probably back down to the base of the origin of this move, is what I would assume it would do. But nothing on here is telling me that it has a lot of conviction to do one or the other. Yep. Yeah, Ernest, yeah, I thought you took this one on IG. Okay. Let's look at, we don't look at this one too often, but we'll look at it tonight because we are cruising through here today. See what we got here for the pound Aussie. Okay, pound Aussie still has an ATR of 108, so it is definitely a mover. This one does have a bigger bid-ask spread, though. This one is a 3.2, so you're going to pay for this one a little bit more, and that's something you have to factor in. This is just, again, it's been kind of in this grinding process to the downside. Aussie strength, pound weakness, a little bit of retrace, but the interesting thing about this one is you did not see the same type of kind of explosion, right, today, like we saw in the other 2 pound pairs. Okay, it was a little bit less, and again, this one gets a little bit whippy. I don't look at this one too often. One nice little area may be this 4-hour zone up here. If you're looking to get into something extra. Okay, but again, going into Friday, we may run out. Maybe we can, put, do the pound dance and see if it will close up into this 177.77 area, lucky number 7, and see if we can start next week in that zone. That would be a nice little place for us to go. But it was an attempt, but nothing good there. So pound yen, we did get some nice movement. Okay, again, got the push back up again. Again, this wick over wick, it worked the first time, and the second time it literally got stuck, breached, and then went higher. So yeah, here was that kind of descending piece right here we were talking about. I'll just throw one of these on there. Okay, you guys can see they came up, got breached, came back down again. So again, this is eating up and chewing a bunch of orders. Not really a whole lot of decision on this trade, but again, we did finally get a bounce. We did get a green or red green kind of confirmation going up to the top side. I would like to grind a bit higher. Again, I have this target in here of 135.09 as a potential kind of entry. Okay, I have a trigger set there. If that trigger alerts, it will let me know. It will buzz my cell phone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start looking to see if we can, I'm going to look for a red, green, red on the lower time frame, but I want to see if we can get up into this 135.20 area. Okay, so alert is at 135.10. It's only 10 pips more, but again, if I hear it, that'll give me enough time to come back and look for a confirmation on the lower time frame. Okay, there's this wick over wick, and again, it's already been respected once. It came down, it popped, and it just launched itself to the downside. It hit another wick over wick here and went back down again and finally breached that. So that's the first time we have any true sellers up here. And again, I do think we are in an area where we will probably go lower again. But again, I want to get to that area of sellers before I jump into it. So again, if you don't have that marked, 135.08, 135.06, somewhere around in there, set yourself an alert or some type of trigger. Again, so you can get back and check yourself out here. Now, this area, it's 135.20 to 135.30. It's only 10 pips, so if you are fine with a 10 pip risk in a trade, again, you could always set yourself up with something like that as well. You could set yourself up with kind of an area here, okay, being on the smaller side. And like I said, normally the pound yen is not going to have a 10 pip zone on the 4-hour chart, okay? Again, because this is down to an 85, which actually is 85.2 right now. So it's starting to go up. It used to be at 160, it used to be double, but you could put something along the lines of this in, right? If you're risking 10, again, like I said, risking 10 to make 50, that's a 5-to-1 risk to reward ratio. If you're looking for a second target, a second target for this one, I would have probably down here to the start, which would be about 64. So, if you can breach that, again, you can have an eventual target of 133 or 134 down here. To the downside, I just think that's a lot to run from now till the weekend. And, I'm not a huge believer in keeping things over the weekend. All right. So, yeah, that would be the setup if you're interested in some type of a set and forget trade. Again, you could take that off this top area and turn this into a green to the downside. All right. There you go. Something along those lines. Okay. Again, I would use this zone as the eventual target. And again, you could shrink it down to here, but I think being a little bit more conservative up top might be the better option. Okay. Not as worried on the bottom side here. Let's go to New Zealand dollar. Right. Look at that. Look at this thing, man. Right up to the top. So close. Haven't gotten an entry yet. Okay, again, still waiting for that entry to hit that daily zone. That daily zone is right here. Okay, that daily zone starts at 68 and goes to 68.30. So it's a little bit bigger of a zone. Again, we can kind of shrink it when we get down to this here. You guys can see it. We did mark it off last class. It's 68.28 to 68.39. So it's about a 10 pip risk again on the 4-hour chart. It's setting up right now and it's giving us a target down here, which is about 60 pips, 55 pips to the downside, another 5-to-1 risk to reward type ratio trade. May not be a bad one to take. It's New Zealand. I don't trade that one as often, but again, that could be an interesting little kind of setup with this top section. I will have to see what it does. Now, if it can burst up in one trade or one candle, then yes, I'm absolutely all over this one. But I have a feeling it's going to grind up, and we'll see what type of demand it puts in below before it hits this zone. But again, that trade is still keeping from a couple days ago, and that's based off the daily, the 4-hour zone, and then again we're waiting for confirmation over here on the 30-minute. And again, I may even go lower. I may even go to a 5 or 10 minute to get that confirmation if we spike into this zone. Okay, it's going to be probably a quick trade. And again, this could be something that we keep on our radar, and this may be more of a Sunday night or early Monday type trade. It's got to move. What are we talking here? About 40 pips to get up to the zone. The ATR is only 50. So if it moves that high, it really only has that much kind of juice in it for one day. I'm afraid it's not going to have enough juice to be able to do it in and out. All right. All right, dollar CAD. Let's see. Dollar CAD. So this is what I got. So dollar CAD was another one that Ernest tagged today. There was actually a couple different trades in this one that you could have taken, but I just want to show you guys the Discord channel because it was pretty funny. This is Josh had a question about it. And we talked about it, and this is kind of Josh's response. Like, if you guys are not in Discord, get in there. So this is Josh's response. I explained it to him. We talked about what we thought about, and this is what he dropped in, and we thought it was pretty funny. So I had to kind of laugh about that one. It just thought it was pretty funny. All right, so a lot of stuff to talk about on this one. So here was the initial spike, and let's see where we go back. Let me go back into the chat here. I believe we're in general. Or were we at? Who was asking about it? I think this was Josh. Yeah, it was Josh that was talking about it. Yeah, Josh was talking about the dollar CAD. And one of the things I was kind of, leery about on this one is This kind of spike up went through the area. But again, it was one of those things. It was very, very small risk. Wasn't a lot there. You can see it spiked all the way up to 130.96, right? Pretty close to the 31. It sucked it right in. You guys can see it went right. It was right here. Okay. You guys will see it went right over the top. But again, you guys can see it. I said there was, even though it did go slightly higher. Sorry, I cheated right there. Okay. You did have your confirmation in this one. It did bounce off of a level. It did retrace. So there was a lot of different things you could take in this one. And again, you could take it back to, you could take it back to any of these levels in here. You could take it back to the start of the 4-hour area. And that's what we had talked about, back down to this 30.28. So even though it breached the top, had you been set and forgetting, you got to remember that you always got to put a little bit of wiggle room or a little bit of buffer in there. Okay. In this case, okay, and I'm going to make this big so you guys can see it here. Okay. Let's talk about how much this actually breached the zone. Okay. It breached the zone by 1.8 pips. Okay. So in this case, the spread is typically about 1.8. So you got to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. If you would have rounded up at 2, you would have stayed in this trade even with a set and forget trade. Now, if you're waiting for confirmation, you would have been looking for your red, your green, and your red close. And your red close was here. So Ernest actually got in at the breach. I think it was up here on this one. That was another one. But you could have got in at the breach when it broke lower, or you could have waited to the close and got in around this 130.79 area, 130.78 area. And even from there, this thing went all the way back down, and you're able to capture 50 pips on there. There was another little kind of small grab as well. Again, I'll remove this blue so you can see it. But you guys see where we dropped and we kind of had some, candles and they're descending. It kind of slowed and it based, and then boom, it kind of picked up and shot out again. Well, here you go. It happened again. It came back up again. You're risking this one, and I'll move this over here so you guys can see it. Move this over here. Your risk was 5.6 pips. Okay. And at this point, it shot back in. The reason I like this one, again, even on the smaller time frame, is this entry is amazing. Whenever you have a one candle entry, big pop like that, you got to be thinking retracement right away. Okay. So at this point, the trade went about 18 in the other direction. You're a little bit over 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and it went back down to where it was supposed to go down to. Okay. It should have went back down to the start of the move, which is right here. Okay. So is this a gigantic, huge trade? No. But was it designed to be? No. It's on a 30-minute chart. It popped up. It took a couple hours to drop back down again. You're risking 5. If this is your 5 box, right? Let's see. Oh crap, I moved it. Hold on. I'll do it this way again. There. Okay, I'm gonna change this to any other color besides blue. We'll change this to fluorescent green. So that's your 5 pip, right? As soon as you get there, boom, within 30 minutes, you were already positive 1-to-1. You took no more heat, and you just watch this kind of grind down again. And again, here's your target. You had multiple opportunities to get in. You've actually gone lower. So a couple different ways that you could have done this, right? I mean, again, it's already pulled back up from this area once. It's actually gone lower than what the 4-hour target was. Okay, and it's dropping back down again. You had 2 entries. You could have grabbed 50. You could have grabbed another 20 on this one. You could have grabbed 70 pips. And again, you guys trade this one, right? You guys trade this one pretty often. What is the dollar per pip on this one? Ernest, give him the dollar per pip. Ernest would know this. If Ernest doesn't know this one, he should. I know there's a delay. You traded one standard lot. How much is this worth per pip? YouTube, can you steal the answer from him? Yep. Okay. So if you bank 50 and then you bank 20 on top of that, how much money did you make on this trade today? No, actually, this one is not worth 10. It's actually a little higher than that. No. Here, I'll help you guys out here. Hold on. Who should I use here? You guys should have this up at all times. I'm sorry, I wasn't even paying attention when I was following. I was like, oh, and I just said yes. Here, let me bring it down. I'll show you guys. There's an easy way to figure this out. Okay, and again, this is one of the important lessons you go through. It's easy to say one because again, one are $10 per standard, but again, that's typically when the U.S. dollar is the quote pair. Okay, let's see, number of lots, volume and lots. Let's do this. A current count base. We'll do one standard. This is a pain in the ass one. I'm gonna do a different one. Let me see. It's gonna pull up an easy one for you guys, but let's see. Where's the best one? Here we go. There we go. They had the best one laid out. Okay, so my fixed book. You guys have seen me use this before. Okay, I answered. Is this thing on? Yeah. So go down to USD CAD. Where is it? I just lost it a second ago. I had it. Where'd it go? Right there. $7.67. Okay, per pip. Okay, per standard lot. And you guys know what standard lots are, right? Standard lots are 100,000. So you can take this across. And again, that's because the US dollar is not the quote pair, it's the base pair. Okay. And that's what always throws people off. Okay. So 7.6 times 70, and boom, $530 day. Do that 5 times a week, times that by 4 weeks, $10,000 a month salary. Okay, times 12. You guys are making 125 grand a day, or 125 grand a year. All right. So if you guys don't have this one, I'll actually put it here for you guys. I will link it here, and I will link it here. Okay, so you guys have access to that, so you guys can see where the pip calculator is. Is an easy way to bring it up again. Okay, because like I said, everybody knows euro dollar, pound dollar. Those are pretty easy to kind of figure out because the dollar is the quote pair, but dollar CAD is a bit different. Okay. And it throws everybody off. One time or another, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's one," and you're like, "Oh wait a second, why is it not matching up?" So put that into your, put that as your kind of gem of the night. Make sure you have that up and leave that up there so you can determine again when you're position sizing. Again, this is not a position sizer tool. This is a pip calculator, a little bit different, but a position sizer works exactly the same way. It'll determine this for you and then divide it based off of your account size and what your risk is, and give you the correct thing. Got that bookmark with the position sizer? Yeah, you got to have the position sizer. Yep. Yeah. And again, that's one of the things, like, I don't really even look at this anymore. I just put them in the position sizer and it does it all for you. So it's kind of like one of those, like, oh yeah. Like these in here, like the CAD yen, like $9.29, 29 cents. It's like, no, I don't remember those things. And like some of these where it's $10.17. I just rely on the position sizer. It's much, much faster. So use those. Okay, that's my recommendation. But again, my FX book, you guys know I like this for a lot of different things, including the heat map, right? The heat map is my friend. Okay, this guy right here. Got it. Okay. Again, you gotta filter through it, but you guys can use that as you want. All right. So that's what we were able to grab on dollar CAD. Where we are right now with dollar CAD, it is in the bottom side. It is at a 3-hour zone. I want to see if it continues to break. I do feel like it will, continue to push lower on this case. I do think we're going to try to get down to the 130 area. We'll see what consumer sentiment looks like tomorrow. That has the ability to kind of drive this a bit farther down. So we'll kind of see if it has the ability to do that. Not really anything else that I would take, as far as kind of like, as Ernest just said, a sniper trade. This is clean, and here it's starting to slow down. It's not really explosive as much. Just kind of wait to see what it does at this point. I think it's going to continue to go a bit lower, and we'll see where we end tomorrow. That's really what matters. Again, I will look at this before news release tomorrow for CAD. I will drop it down to lower. I will on the 4 hour. I'm not as concerned because we got a lot of room before we go up because of this kind of racetrack. We'll see what it does overnight if it's able to kind of grind back up at all. But I'll play this. Be looking to play this for some type of a news kind of setting tomorrow morning. Dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss with the big day. Okay. And I say big day, again, I'll measure this one. Ty, are you out there tonight? I don't know if Ty's out there or not. Ty may be in Babyland. You're talking about 81 pips. This one has an ATR of 59. So I beat up on this pair every single time, and look what it did. We talked about how we had this zone here. It didn't quite reach our target. It came back up again. If we extend that same area across, right there, look what we tagged off of. Okay. Not only did it encompass this entire move, but it came back up again, hit the area, and then just collapsed and dropped through the floor. Okay. So the entry, again, on this one, had you been able to grab it over here, again, here's the 1 o'clock. Here is kind of where we were yesterday. Okay, we were pushing back down, and again, it turned right here at the start of this move, right? It went down and literally bounced off of this area. This candle right here is where we were last night, and we said it kind of flatlined. It did what it was supposed to do, and then all of a sudden, boom, it rallied up, it popped it, and it continued to push back down again. It just blew right through the zone, okay? Entry, had you gotten into it up here, was right here. Okay, so there's a bunch of area that you could go through. It hit the first profit target, and again, this second snag was kind of like, Ty, did you make money on this one? I hope you made money on this one today, Ty. I only show this pair because you're here, buddy. Please tell me, Ty, you did this. Because I beat up on it every day, and I know this is your baby. I couldn't look at anything today. Oil field. Work trying hard to raise the price of oil. You better not raise the price of oil. My MT4 candles are so different. It's ridiculous. Your candles are different than this? Really? Let me see something here. Let's see if they are different. Oop. This is the 4-hour chart. I don't know. That looks pretty the same to me. I mean, this to this. Here, I'll see if I can make it a little here. I don't know. That looks pretty much the same to me, right? I can insert this shape, which would have been here, right? Yeah, it's that one. Where's the other arrow? Right there. And then if I put a horizontal line, let's see. There's your drop. There's your basing. Okay, I can extend the bottom. Whoop. Okay, here's the base here. There's the base there. It hit the base. It rallied up, hit the second, and went down. Does yours not look like that, Parker? I mean, this looks very similar to this. Yes, Ty, you did get the cheat sheet. And actually, I believe it was Parker that answered where the cheat sheet actually was on Discord. It's in the setup section. At the bottom, it says trend cheat sheet. Click here for trend cheat sheet. I didn't send it out. No, it's not an email. You have to download it. But yeah, so this is Parker. I'm not sure why, because this is MT4 on IG, and this is Oanda's data on NinjaTrader. And again, this is a demo account right here on IG because I don't have a live account at IG. But you can see it's the same, same look, right? Okay, at this one level of base here. And again, the candles will be slightly off, but it's the same movement. Boom, boom, down, down. Yeah, they're slightly different. Yeah, because depending on when they close their 4-hour windows. Because again, so here's the thing. So obviously the times are different. So you look over here. Actually, these two should be close to being sunk together because here we have 20 and we're at 1. They're a little bit off. So depending on where the time zone is based out of will also kind of change some of the candles around, but the movement should be the same. So you can see the basing is the same. It's still this is 3 candles here. It just happens to be 4 candles right here, before it kind of moved back down again. And what it did, it came up and tested and went up. right? It's harder to draw lines on this side, but if I draw a line over here, right? Price came up. I'm not going to be able to change all this, but price came up there, right? Price came back down. Price came up to here. Price came down. Price came up. Price came down. So it went up, 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 up. Same thing on this one. Price went up. I can't draw freehand with this one. Price went up, it went down, it went up, it went down, it went up, it went down. Same exact shape. Okay, but candle is slightly different, sure. But again, zones are still the same. You still see the pop, and again, they're different colors, obviously, because I haven't changed the colors here. But I mean, I could change the colors of the same thing. If that helps, I can do bars up green, bars down red, bull candles green, and bear candles red. Okay, I could change the background. Background to dim gray. I mean, somewhat close. I don't have the black around the outside, but I could. But I mean, same basic shape. Okay. Yeah, but just looking at the last two candles, you can see the difference. But yes, the zone is there. Sometimes it's hard to follow. Yeah, sometimes, I mean, again, if you're trying to match what I'm doing on my charts, it is going to be slightly different. But again, it's not so much about copying me. It's about understanding what I'm trying to show you. So, an example between these two, I mean, these are the exact same things. You're looking for, explosive movement. Well, here's explosive movement. Maybe you drew it slightly differently. Maybe you do, your little shape in here differently. You do this, but you're like, oh, okay, well, that's a zone right there. Okay. And again, that's very, very high. I didn't mark off the whole candle in here, right? That's the conservative aspect of it, right? But then what you would have done for this next one is you could have gone and done this, right? Because we want the body. There's the body. Okay. Again, on this other one, I just took the entire piece of it. I took the entire piece there. And it's just different kind of, you can do either one. It's your choice whether you're going to do just the body. Typically when it's like this, I'll mark off the whole piece of it. But again, if you want to take it conservatively, it's here. Okay. If you want to do the whole piece, it's here. If you were going to see what it was retracing, yes, there's the retracement off of there, but there's the current zone based off the body. So it came down, hit, and then went through. So yeah, it will be slightly different, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't really change too much. Okay. Actually, I think if I wanted to make it the same, I think it's this one is, nope, not that one. It's the other one. It's blue. It's bar up, yeah, and bar down is red. So I can almost turn it exactly the same. But you can make it pretty, you can make it pretty if you want. Okay. But yeah, it's the same, again, look for the big kind of pushes away. And again, that's why, again, the ninja charts are nice. You can do the same thing. You can change the sizes over here. I mean, you can make it almost similar. And again, people get kind of confused, but, again, scroll back a little bit to here. Okay, look at this, same thing. Okay, it's actually a little easier to see over here because you can kind of see the wicks where this one shows no wicks, but it's still the same. I mean, you're talking about an entry at 99.11, and over here you're talking about 99.08, so slightly different pip wise. It gives you a little bit better of a reading, but it's the same. Same thing. Your target down here, right? That's where you're looking to hit. That's the same, right? Target of 88.50. What is it? 88.53. Okay. This one is at 88.49. Okay. Now, remember the other thing too. Different brokerage firms will also have slightly different prices. Okay. Here's bonus points. Why will different brokerage firms have slightly different prices? Does anybody know that question? No, you are Parker. Let's not mess this around. You are crazy, brother. No, just kidding. You're not crazy. But no, why are prices different in different brokerage firms? Come on. Somebody get that answer, and I'm going to go down to the dollar yen. But I want you guys to tell me why different brokerage firms have slightly different prices. As that one's loading, we'll come over here. My daughter is screaming in the other room, Ty. It's going to be daddy to the rescue as soon as we're done. Come on, guys. Different spread? Maybe it could be different spread, but that's not why the prices are different. But good guess. Come on, Ernest. Step in there. You better save those Twitch boys. Why do different brokerage firms have different prices sometimes? Or why are they slightly different? And why does Nadex always have slightly different prices? It's the same reason why. All right, so as we're going through this one, you guys can see this one had a big drop. Downtrend setup on both time frames. I am cautious, though. It is a downtrend setup, but, and I say but, Where are we? We're in an area of buyers. Okay, so we're expecting a bounce. Okay, but on the 4-hour, right? We had this buying zone here, this buying zone here. It's hit it twice. It blew through it. It absolutely shot right through it. It came back up to retest it, and we're at the retest. Not the cleanest retest, unfortunately. That's kind of where we're at right now. This is what the retest area looks like. Not really the hugest fan of it. It's kind of like there's a wick at the top, a wick over here. It's like 3 wicks on top of each other, all singles. I don't mind this one here. But it's really not necessarily my favorite area. Again, big spike down, retrace back up, and kind of pulled through. I think it's going to go higher. If we get up to 107.68, I could be willing to, turn it loose. But, it's a very, very tiny area. I don't know. Let's see. This one hits at 107.75. 107.75 is here. It's kind of right in between. It's on the distal side of this zone, but kind of at the proximal of this end. Commission versus non-commission. Nope. Ernest said liquidity. Nope. Come on, guys. You went through the class. What is the biggest thing different between the foreign currency market and, say, the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, or the CME where you guys trade futures at? What is the biggest difference between the two? What do they say about currencies? Why? What about the currency market makes it so different? The answer to that question is exactly why the prices are different. It's like the first thing I put on every slide about the currency market. It's going to be your homework to go back in there and find it if you guys can't find it. Jeez. Come on. Yes. Ernest finally got it. Centralized versus not. Well, it is regulated. Don't let that bull fool you. We are absolutely regulated currencies. That's why there's a lot of companies not here. No, it's the centralized versus not centralized. Okay. It's not that there's no central regulation. It's just there's no centralized trading floor. Okay. So like the New York Stock Exchange, when you trade those things, it's in New York. There's an actual exchange. Well, there is no centralized exchange. So it's an interbank relationship is what we're trading. Okay. We are trading kind of different markets. So different brokerage firms are kind of representing different banks. And what they're doing is they're trading it back and forth between these banks, and they have different arbitrage rates. Okay. So that's why they're slightly different. That's why at the end of the day in currencies, you always have to be a little bit careful about signals and things like that. And it's why I've been kind of more resistant to doing signals on the side because, you may not have the same entry or exit, or you may not get taken out of a trade where somebody else may have. You may be like, well, I got taken out, but this guy's claiming he has profit. Well, he may have stayed in legitimately because his brokerage firm was bigger and didn't have the same spread. Or maybe he was on a commission side and he didn't have the bid-ask spread kind of blow up because his was based off commission and a very, very tiny bid-ask spread, where yours is basically, it's determined off the bid-ask spread. So there's a lot of different factors that are included in there. So that's why it's important to be able to read the chart yourself and kind of see those things. Damn, I just went through the course to guess. It's time to renew again. Parker, yeah. It's one of those things that you think is not important, but it is important to understand what's happening behind the scenes, Like I said, Ernest is killing it, and he gave me liquidity as his first answer, James may be in here somewhere, but James he's not talking tonight because we're not talking futures, But it's the same thing. So at the end of the day, I mean, even right now, let me see if we can see it. It's saying, Oanda is saying it's 107.51, right? And let's see what we have here. Whoops. No. Let's spread this way out. Come on, you can do it. That's what I was trying to get at here. Where's the button? Oh, let me change it. It helps if you're in the same pair. Well, it's on dollar Swiss. Let's go back to dollar Swiss. So right here, we're saying it's 89.25, and actually they're saying it is 89.25 as well. So I mean, they're close right now. Although the point after, and again, middle of the night, probably not the best pair to do this with, but yeah. So I mean, they're a little bit close, but they're slightly off. And again, there's no movement right now. Okay. Oh man, Ernest Parker's over here. He's like, ha ha ha. Oh, Ernest. It worked. All right, Mike, you take care, buddy. We'll talk to you later. We're actually getting ready to jump out here anyway. It's 7 after anyway. So like I said, guys, with this one, we'll look for a little bit of a retracement back down. We'll see if it can pop from the very, very bottom. At the most point, we're probably going to retrace back down to this gap. Oop, not this one. This one. we'll see where this retrace takes us. We are in the impulse correction phase. I want to see if it turns and flips at this point. I'm going to wait till morning time and then trade this one with U.S. consumer sentiment. The CAD number shouldn't affect it, but the consumer sentiment number will. As I said, we are in our daily buying area. We are Harry Pottering it right now on the 4-hour. Oh, there you go, Mike. You bolted, and the birds are saying goodnight. And again, on the smaller one, we are just retracing. Okay. All right, guys. So that's what we got. So tomorrow's Friday night. We have no chart school tomorrow night. There will not be one this Sunday. I will see you guys next Monday. Same time, same bat channel, YouTube, Twitch. And do me a favor, guys. If you are on either one of these two, make sure you're following us. If you're on YouTube, if you can give us a follow and a like, I would appreciate it. That helps get the channel a bit more known, and we can get some more guys in here talking some more stuff. Thank you guys much. Have a great weekend. And again, I'll see you guys on Discord tomorrow. Mike, if you're not on Discord, make sure you get in there. Head over to keeptradingsimple.com and click on the Discord button. We'll get you added, and you can start chatting with everybody else and learn who Ernest actually is. All right. Thank you much, guys. And I'm going to jam some music and get out of here. Thank you guys much. Later.